Samope, Sampadia, Chimafidi non cotu, era one radio. Samope, Jumpadia, Chimafidi non cotu, era one radio. Oh, and you punctua, Asam punctua. Era one,
They are four women. They are beautiful with brains. They are eloquent, decent, wise, and experienced. You have heard many, the funny. Now, it's time to hear the experience and the brainy. Meet Selena, Dorcas, Gifty, and Annette as they present the real in common getting. In common BISS chain, the dead, as in Takrenu assume the dead, the real in common getting. Showing live this and every Sunday, 7 p.m. on Era One Radio on Facebook and on YouTube, Era One Radio and on Taibo channel. Kaise, so we see the real in common getting ya. What brabon tete? We nyan konkonsa. We the real in common getting.
All right. Good evening, Era One Radio listeners. I am so excited. It's another Tuesday, the 13th day of September in the year of our Lord. I started with a jingle from the Real Nkomo ladies. And of course, the president of the Real Nkomo Kitten, the one and only Abena from Poma, also known as Dorcas, First Lady, wife of CEO. Today is her birthday, so I'm excited, doing this show on her birthday. Of course, she was born on a Tuesday, and this year's birthday also falls on a Tuesday. So those of you who don't know, Abena in Ghana, as it's called, means she was born on a Tuesday. So it happened also to fall on her birthday. So Abena from Poma, all of us from Era One are wishing you a happy birthday. God bless you in abundance and abundance. May you live to fulfill all your destiny and the plans for you. So tonight, those of you who are friends, relatives of Abena, I expect you to call into the studio and wish Abena a happy birthday. If you don't call her, then I take it that you are not her friend. Well, on behalf of my studio manager, Dr. Osei Tutu, and the Era One team, I want to wish you all a very good evening. I want to welcome you to tonight's broadcast tag, The Divine Connection, and I'm your host, Charles Boison. Tonight, I'm broadcasting as usual live from Facebook and YouTube, also Ghana, Modern Ghana Radio and Garden Radio. The number to call in, that's those of you who want to call and wish Abena from Poma a happy birthday, is 240-280-2633. And the text to call in is 510-931-0946. All right, so today, as I said, it's Abena from Poma's birthday. So let's wish a happy birthday. Last week I wasn't here. It also happens to be my niece Comfort Boison's birthday. So Comfort, you also wished a happy belated birthday. Well, before I go on, let me remind you where you are, and then we'll take it another notch. Let me hear Abena's voice.
Kosuanati Era One Radio. Empenyini say, Yensuma na motenten, yesuma benyasafo, Era One Radio. Yedin sem anumwaye ebre.
Samope, Sampadia, Chimafidi non cotu, Era One Radio. Samope, Jumpadia, Chimafidi non cotu, Era One Radio. Oh, and you punctua, Asam punctua. Era One,
all right, you are back to Era One, where we are broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, and Modern Ghana Radio. I'm your host, Charles Boison. And tonight I'm continuing with my book review that I started a couple of weeks ago. I think Pastor Bishop Joe was on the program. And so I'm going to continue from where we left off. All right, tonight I'm looking at the law of consistency. It's a kind of book review which I clipped from John Maxwell's book, The 15 Laws of 15 Valuable Laws of Growth. Sorry, that's what I'm clipping it from. It's a very good study. I don't want to, chew it alone. I don't want to chew pour and pass alone. I want to share with you. So it's a night of motivation. And because it's Abner's birthday, we want to do something to motivate all of us. So as I said earlier on, call to the studio and wish Abena from Palma, our first lady, a happy birthday. Well, as you look around, the world is in a kind of mourning status. The oldest reigning monarch, Queen Elizabeth, Mary, kicked the bucket last week, I think Thursday, on the 8th of September. So the world is in a kind of mourning state. You know, she was monarch of UK, Britain, and then she was also sovereign over a lot of countries, including Africa and all those places. So all those people and places are mourning. I hear information reaching me is that the Ghanaians are ready to mourn. Big time. So I'm sure the body should be flown to Ghana for them to do their own a year. All right. So tonight, let's go on. And like I said, I'm looking at the law of consistency. And John Maxwell makes a very good quote, which I love to quote here. It says, motivation gets you going, but discipline keeps you growing. You can be motivated to keep you going, but it is discipline that will keep you growing. And Jim Tressel also says, he said, the hallmark of excellence, the test of greatness is consistency. So you can achieve something. If you don't maintain that consistency, it becomes a problem. And sometimes I hear people say, oh, God doesn't have a problem making us rich. But how are you going to be consistent after that is the problem. And, you know, our people also say your beauty can take you into a marriage, but it's your character that will kick you out. So you have to be consistent in whatever you start with. If you get a new job and you impress your boss the first week, it doesn't mean after 3 weeks you should just decline and just do anything anyhow. Keep your momentum, keep your consistency. That is what is going to keep you in the job. So we are looking at consistency, the law of consistency that will keep you afloat and help you to achieve your goal. We are in the 9th month of the year, and in the next 3 months or so, 4 months, we're going to bring 2020 to an end. Can you believe that we just started 2022 a few months ago, and already we are getting ready to kick it goodbye? All right, so the law of consistency. Maxwell said it doesn't matter how talented you are. It does not matter how many opportunities you receive. If you want to grow, consistency is the key. Let me take that again. The law of consistency. Maxwell says it does not matter how talented you are. It does not matter how many opportunities you get in life. If you want to grow, then consistency is key. So we are looking at consistency and how to grow in consistency. So these are some of the notes that I, gather for myself. If you want to become more disciplined and consistent in your performance, you need to become more disciplined and consistent in your growth. If you want to become more disciplined and consistent in your performance, you need to become more disciplined and consistent in your growth. How do you do that? How do you achieve that? Before you can do that, before you can achieve all this discipline and consistency that I'm talking about, you need to know the what, the how, the why, and when of personal improvement. You need to know what do I need to improve in? How do I do that? How am I supposed to do that? And then how am I supposed to improve upon what I'm doing? And the why is, do you know why you want to keep improving? These are the things we want to look at. So if you ever set up some goals for, we normally call it resolutions after the December 31st ceremony or church service, we all take a piece of paper, maybe a diary, a journal, a book, and we write all the things that we want to achieve by the end of the year. If you put those things down, you ask yourself, how do I achieve this thing that I put down? Because if you just put them under your pillow, you put them down, you write it down. For the Bible say, write them clearly, make it plain for anybody to see. If you put it down and just put it under your pillow, it's going to stay there for the rest of the year. You have to put it there and find out the strategies. How do I bring these things into fulfillment? That is what I'm talking about tonight. All right, so I'm still waiting for your calls. Those of you who are going to call in and wish Abner from Poma a happy birthday. You have to. You don't have a choice. I'm telling those of you who listen to Common Kitten every Sundays from 7 to 8. Of course, you know this lady. That's why I play their clip. So you have to call in and wish Sister Abner a happy birthday. And I'm not kidding. I am not kidding. So you have to.
They are four women. They are beautiful with brains. They are eloquent, decent, wise, and experienced. You have heard many, the funny. Now, it's time to hear the experience and the brainy. Meet Selena, Dorcas, Gifty, and Annette as they present the real in common getting. In common BISS chain, the dead, as in Takrenu assume the dead, the real in common getting. Showing live this and every Sunday, 7 p.m. on Era One Radio on Facebook and on YouTube, Era One Radio and on Taibo channel. Kaise, so we see the real in common getting ya. What brabon tete, winyan konkonsa, we the real in common getting.
All right, so the president, the leader of the Nkoman Kitten group, that is Sister Abena from Poma, Dorcas, is chewing her birthday today. We say, again, her friends say, Udina Wada or Rina Wada, she's chewing her birthday today. So those of you around, call in and wish her happy birthday. I hope my studio manager, CEO, will give us some birthday, maybe music. I know YouTube is very strict, so I can't pull any birthday song for them, but I'm hoping that Dr. Osis will give me some songs to accompany my greetings. All right, so as I said earlier on, I'm doing this book review on the law of consistency. So I gave you initially what you need to know. You need to know how you need to improve, the how, the why, the when. And tonight, to kick it off, I'll come back, but I want to start with a case study. And the case study, I'm going to take it from Joseph, the son of Jacob. So in those days, we don't know whether they had their own last name or surname. So we don't know what actually was Joseph's last name. But for the purpose of our study, I'll say Joseph, son of Jacob, was called Joseph Jacob. We just take it that way. Last name is Jacob and first name is Joseph. So Joseph Jacob. All right. When you read the book of Genesis chapter 30, verse 1 going, this is what it says. It says, and when Rachel saw that she bare Jacob no children, Rachel envied her sister and said unto Jacob, give me children or else I die. So Rachel was literally saying that, Jacob, you are the one who have to give me a baby. If you don't give me a baby, I'm going to die on you. As if Jacob actually had the power to give the baby. Of course, he has to do his portion. The woman has to bring her portion, and then the baby happens. But it looks as if Jacob was delivering, but Rachel was not converting the delivery into a baby. You know, let's say when you give a woman something, she incubates it and she gives you a multiplied version. So Jacob was giving Leah, the senior or the older sister, seeds, and she was converting them into babies. But when the seed goes to Rachel, no non-scoring, nothing come out. So at a point, Rachel got really, really depressed. Say, man, if you don't give me a baby, I'm going to die on you. And of course, it wasn't Jacob's fault. All right, so 2 says, and Jacob's anger was kindled against Rachel, and he said, am I in God's stead, who hath withheld from thee the fruit of the womb? And she said, behold, my maid Bilhah, go into her, and she shall bear upon my knees, that I may also have children by her. This is serious. So what Rachel was saying is that, Jacob, I know my eggs are not working. They are there, but when your spermatozoa come into contact with mine, they don't fertilize. Nothing happens. They just drain down the drain. So, okay, second opportunity. If I can give you the baby or I can't get a baby, go into my maid's. And those it was allowed. I don't think we allow them these days. So if you marry and your wife is not producing, most of the time you would think it's the woman, but sometimes the men too. So don't blame just the woman. And the woman is not producing, you just give your husband the maid. I'm sure most of the men will say, Charlie, I'll pass with them. You know, sometimes we are crazy. Your wife comes to tell you, oh, my eggs are not working, I'm not producing. So yes, just go and do the do and let's have babies so we can name after me. And that's what Richard suggested to, Jacob. And of course, Jacob didn't say no. The men find it difficult to say no. Same thing happened to Jacob's grandfather, Abraham. Abraham wasn't having a baby with Sarah, and Sarah comes and say, you know, my Lord, it looks as if I'm not going to make it. We are both going old, gray-haired and all that. But, you know, Hagar is here. Just take an opportunity. And, well, just Jacob, Abraham could have said, no, I love you, Sarah. I don't want to do it. I'll just wait till God's time. He said, well, one can say, I better me lie, so they are winning them beside you. Oh, now they buy empty. Let's take it. And Abraham did the deal. So history repeated itself. And Jacob said, well, I understand you, Rachel. I understand your plight. I know how you want to carry a baby, you want to suck and all that. So I'll help you out. So he took the maid servant and boom, 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 boom. And the baby came and they named the baby Dan. All right. So she gave him Bilhah, her handmaid to wife, and Jacob went in unto her. And Bilhah conceived and bare Jacob a son. Success. And Rachel said, God had judged me and had also heard my voice and had given me a son. Therefore called she his name Dan. So eventually the plan works. Sometimes it's not every time that the plan works. What if Hagar too couldn't have a baby? Where was he going to go? Third choice. But thank God Hagar was fertile. Bilhah was fertile, so it happened. And then everything boom, boom. Verse 22 says, and God remembered Rachel. This is the key point. After he had given her maid to Jacob to do the do. Now, Bible says that God remembered Rachel. It doesn't mean God forgets. That man up there doesn't forget a dime. God doesn't forget nothing. It is just the appropriateness of time, the due timing. Bible says in due season, at the right time, God remembered. Maybe he kept it for a reason. Who knows? And so Bible says in 22, then God remembered Rachel and God hearkened to her. God heard her prayer. You've been praying all this time, not that God wasn't listening. He was listening, but there was a time. So when the time came, Bible says he actually heard. Maybe God was listening all these years, but that time he heard and opened her womb. And she conceived and bare a son and said, God has taken away my reproach. Can you imagine that Leah was walking the campus? Of course, they were living in a compound house. And Leah was not as pretty as Rachel. She was so fertile. Jacob didn't know who can now. Sometimes Jacob doesn't even have to go. They just pee. The lady passes by. No, when you saying, hey, Rachel, Leah, we are fertile. She was just giving out the babies, boom, 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 boom. And Rachel was, what? What is going on? How can I can do that? So Leah was throwing insinuations that, hey, and so when finally God opened Rachel's womb, can you imagine? Can you imagine the joy that was in the house? Now you cannot insinuate me or do anything. Me too, my womb has given birth to a baby. And she conceived and bare a son and said, God had taken away my reproach. Where you may reproach if you are in Casechu idea Ubomia and a pie kutia, who could Jarico kutia and a sergeant, I want to mean, then cement in the degu, then I want to mean, would then away. She will insult and insult, but eventually Rachel had a baby. And she called his name Joseph, brother Joe, and said, the Lord shall add to me another son. She was so hopeful. Says a womb be dear. Free will not be there, and the about me says a second one. And she was right. Her faith got her through. As you know, later in the Bible, Rachel had another son by name Benjamin. So we're going to look at the characteristics of Joseph as we relate to our study consistency in our growth. If you want to grow, you have to have a vision. And when you get a vision, you have to start working on it. And then you have to be consistent. Don't say, oh, Minsa can wait if you mean yes, no, you have to be consistent. It's like not just running a sprint of 100 meters pow, your ball hits now boom. Now we do last speed way and your consistency. I said 400 meters and now 1,500, 8,000, and we start with some momentum, you maintain the speed and you finish with it. But sprint there, your ball Carl Lewis, Hussein Bolt, boom, now call. This one, you have to be consistent. You have to maintain the speed. Whatever you start, you maintain it and make sure you are not degassing. Oh, and let me start here. Peter, I'm talking to myself. I'm doing it because I want to encourage myself. That is what I am doing. So we're talking about the law of consistency. And John Maxwell in his book, gives us a very nice picture of this. You have to, because sometimes, and yet they be an album pie not happy. No, God is always answering prayers, but he wants us to use our wisdom. The wisdom is given, the brain is given, and he wants us to use it. Maintain your life. If you started something, maintain it. Don't expect that things are going to come miracle, but you have to use the brains and apply them. Apply them, know it and apply. That's what we're talking about, the law of consistency. All right, so we're going to continue. and I'm doing the case study on Joseph. Now, I want to look at the characteristics of Joseph. What made Joseph successful? How did he succeed? What are the things that he went through? Joseph, when you read his story, he went through the lows, the highs, and everything in between. This guy did everything, all just because there was a destiny upon his life. You have destinies. You have to identify yours and live through it. But Joseph's experience is quite unique. And when Pastor Joe was here the other day, he mentioned something. I think I forgot the title, but something like doing something. Let me remember. It's like, what changed? What changed? What motivated Jacob to start doing something and demanding a change from his uncle Laban? At a point, Jacob labored so much. He said, "No, uncle, I do what I mean. You time I should say, and something changed. Something changed. So we have to change our lives and maintain what we have to do. So we are looking at the characteristics of Joseph. What made him unique? So one, Joseph was born after years of Rachel's barrenness. As I read earlier on, the mother had been barren for a while. And this is a woman that Jacob loved so much. If you go back to Genesis, Jacob actually worked for Rachel. He was so much in love with the little younger sister. He worked for this lady, paid the dowry with his years. When the time came, the father-in-law, Rachel's father, tricked Jacob and gave him instead Leah. And so he went to sleep that night. He was going to enjoy his honeymoon. I don't know whether he even started before he saw it, but I'm sure those days electricity was a problem. So you just use your aboboya candle or something. There wasn't even a candle. It was just a wick, a crazy, they go candle. So the room was dark. So this guy goes to the room and says, "Hey, Richard, he realized that no, that is not the girl I bargained for. Leah, what? How did he get into my bedroom? I thought I was having, Rachel." And so boy said, "No, okay, yeah, she would have tricked me. 7 years. That's how much the guy was in love with Rachel. He deep her another 7 years. Also, bolle baby 7 years. And eventually, and can you imagine after all this toil and everything, realize that the woman can give you a baby? So after Rachel struggling for all this, the father, Joe's father working for 7 years plus 7 years, 14, gets the woman of his dream and realizes that the woman can give a seed. And so eventually, when Riches has a baby, come and see. Enjoyment was what? Eventually, God opened the womb. So what are some of the struggles that you're going through? Are you in any kind of struggle? Are you down, so down that you don't even feel like you want to get up? Have you been knocked out of a job, of marriage, or something that is knocked you down? You have gone through some struggles and eventually breaking through. That is what Rachel experienced. We all go through struggles in life, but eventually when you break through, it's like a daylight in the midst of darkness. Second point, so much loved. So much loved. Rachel was so much loved. Jacob placed Rachel and Joseph last when going to meet Esau. Now, when you go to Genesis chapter 33, it tells us about how Jacob loved Rachel and his two sons, who were born later. The guy loved Rachel so much that when he was going to meet his brother Esau, can you imagine what he did? Okay, I'm going to meet my brother Esau. And so I'm going to put my least favorite people in front of the train or battle. Imagine Jacob going out to meet Esau, somebody he had tricked earlier in his life. He tricked Esau in his life by taking his birthright and all that, stuff. So he was scared at this time that I'm going to meet my brother. But, before I go and meet him, this is what I want to do. I don't want him to come and kill my family with his troop and all that. So I'm going to put my least favorite people at the forefront of the battle. So he puts his maid servants and their children, all of that in the front row. And then he puts Leah and her children in the middle. And then he puts Rachel and Joseph behind. Can you imagine? So he loved Rachel and Joseph so much that he did not want them to face the fight that was coming. It's as if he was saying that, the maid servant and your children, I don't care about you too much. And then Leah and children, you guys are in the middle. I can do without you. But Rachel and Joseph, I love them so much. I want them to be close to me. They should be at the back. So before Esau's troop kills all the maid servants and the Leah children, before he gets to Rachel and Joseph and the children, they would have escaped. That was Jacob's mentality. Is that the mentality you have? Do you divide and conquer? But that was the story about Rachel and how Joseph experienced love from the father. All right, my third point. Joseph was loved of his father and was at the same time he was a snitch. When you look at chapter 37, verses 1 to 3, Jacob, who was also known as Israel, loved Joseph more than all his children. And that's a serious situation. Bible says Jacob, maybe it's because he was born at his old age, as you imagine. That was a double positive jeopardy. Because one, Rachel was the loved one, and he took a long time to have a baby. So when the baby came, he was very excited. And at the same time, he was growing old. He was old in his old age, but was still firing. So in old age, Joseph came. So can you imagine the old man's love for this boy? I was old and I was able to have a baby, and also a baby by the woman that I love so much. Rachel had a baby. So Joseph was just loved beyond measure. Was loved beyond measure. All right. The question is, do you love your children separately? Or do you treat your children separately? Sometimes we are guilty of that. But then every child must be loved at the same time, maybe differently, in that you accord him what the baby needs most. I mean, what each child needs most. But then you love them all the same. Every child is different. So you can't say, oh, I love Joe more than Kofi and all that. It brings schism amongst family. That is the same thing that Father Isaac did. He loved Esau more than Jacob, and he brought a fracas. It brought a kind of rift between the children. So they divided. Isaac loves Esau, Rebecca loves Jacob. And what happened? There was cheating in the family because they were not equal love. Isaac said, I want to bless you, Esau. And Rebecca also said, okay, you will fear her. And trick them. Make Jacob, go and bring me goat from the kitchen, and I will make pepper soup. Just the same way your father likes, like Esau bringing venison or meat from the bush. The father liked akrantinam from the bush. And Rebecca said, I will use goat to do akrantinam. Your father will not even realize after all he's blind. Do we kind of separate our children and love them unequally? We have to watch that. Because Jacob did that and it affected his children. He sewed a tunic, coat of many colors for Joseph. And the brother said, no, we can't have it. You can't do that. And as I said, Joseph was old. You have to see, near a friend who we call Akwokraba. He loved Joseph because he was Akwakra's son. All right. And he made a tunic of many colors. Do you play favoritism among your kids? We have to be careful and not fall into that temptation. Sometimes it's painful that some of the children can do stuff that it makes you get prone to one child more than the other. But we have to be careful how we show affection in certain areas. On top of that, Joseph brought a bad report to his father about his siblings. Joseph too he also had a problem because he was loved. He was daddy's favorite son. Maybe then when they're having dinner, he would climb and sit on Jacob's lap and all that. So all the children saw that they will pay Joseph as him. And also bringing a bad report, being a snitch. Because the Bible says when he went to, take care of them, watch them feeding the animals and all that, he will bring a bad report to the father. So he was always snitching on the other brothers, and they didn't like it. Why are you always snitching on us? We are brothers. If anything, let's talk it cool. But then Joseph thought he was being frank. Hey, daddy, this is what they did. They were supposed to be feeding the animals. They left and they went to, play in the river and all that stuff. And animals were hungry and so all that stuff, and that bothered the brothers. That why are you a snitch? I mean, and that made it something for them to hate Joseph. They all hated him because he was a snitch. You are always telling us to the father. We have to watch out. And on my 8th point, come to think of it, Joseph was a dreamer. In spite of being Akwakra's son, having the coat of many colors, maybe because of the tunic, he goes to sleep and he's dreaming many colors, and he was a dreamer. He's not a type that easily just goes to sleep and just, snores and whatever. The guy was a dreamer. That was his special gift. What is your special gift? Are you a dreamer like Joseph? Are you a footballer? Are you a soccer player? Maybe that's not even a word. Whatever are you? Are you whatever gift you want to put there, talent you want to put there, because a man's gift will bring him before kings and authority. What are your gifts? For Joseph, he started as a dreamer, but it wasn't only the dream interpretation that put him in the palace. But beside that, the guy was consistent. The guy was so consistent, it wasn't even funny. He was a dreamer, and he wouldn't even keep his mouth shut. Anytime he dreams, hey boys, come around. Senior brothers, come. I had this dream. doing this, and he will tell it. Do you choose who you share your dreams with? Are you loudmouth? Many a time when God blesses us and you don't stay consistent, you can be killed by your own dream. So this guy was a dreamer, and when he dreams, he wouldn't keep quiet. Of course, he was just a lad, 16, 17. What did he know? He wants to share. He saw nothing wrong with sharing my dream. After all, we are all family members. This is what I've seen. Come, let's share my dream. If you also have a dream, let's share it. But unbeknown to him, the dream that he was sharing was affecting the other brothers because one, they didn't have a dream like he did, and two, the dream that he had were weird. So when you have a dream, a vision for a business, for a job or something, you have to know who you tell the dreams to. Joseph didn't have that clue. He said, oh, my brothers are my brothers. We are all in the family. Whatever I see, I want to tell it. But sometimes in secular world, you have to be careful who you share your dreams with. Otherwise, somebody can easily kill your dream. And in the sharing of dream, not just they're going to kill you physically, but you can share a dream, something you want to do with somebody, and they will discourage you. And that will be the end of your dream. Some people may also discourage you, and the next time you see them, they are using your dream as their patency. You have to be careful how you share your dreams. And so when we go to verse 5, Joseph has all kinds of dreams up to verse 10. He tells his father and brothers. Because of the dreams, the siblings hate him. But the day the dad, when he heard it, didn't just say, okay, Joseph, I'm your father. That's nonsense, bull. But Bible says that Jacob kept this matter in mind. Same thing happened to Mary. When Jesus was young, 12 years old, he was questioning the leaders in the church and doing all kinds of stuff. They couldn't even comprehend what he was doing. But Bible says all the miracles that this boy was doing, even as a carpenter, Mary kept all those things in her heart. Those who love you, when they hear your dream, they will rejoice with you. They will help you bring that dream to fruition. But if you have haters, woe unto you. They will seek to destroy you. So you have to be careful who you share your dreams with. All right, let me take a quick break here. And I'm still expecting your calls. And let's see what happens. All right.
Chimothy non kotu era one radio. Jumpe dietia. Chimothy non kotu era one radio. Oh, ayum pamchima. Chintu, asam pamchima. Chintu, egratum chima. Era one, yebo yumpankua.
Kosua nati era one radio. Empenyini say, yensuma na motenten, yesuma benyasafo. Era one radio. Yedin sem anumuaye ebre.
All right, that is Sister Abina's voice on the jungle. We are back to Era One Radio. I'm broadcasting live on this Tuesday from Facebook or on Facebook, YouTube, and Modern Ghana Radio. I'm still waiting for your birthday greetings. We want to wish Sister Abina a happy birthday. Anybody that is celebrating your birthday today, I wish you a happy birthday, many happy returns. Let's enjoy the moment. All right, tonight I'm talking about the law of consistency. It's a kind of book review I'm doing from Dr. John Maxwell's series, the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. All right, so I said I'm using Joseph as a case study, the guy who was very consistent in the book of Genesis. All right, so when we go to the verse 12 of that chapter, Jacob later sends his beloved son to his other brothers who were in the field. And of course, you know, those were the haters, the brothers that didn't like Joseph because one, he was a dreamer and he talked too much. The father liked him too much. And all these things didn't work well with the brothers, the siblings. So they say, you know what, we don't like you. And they made it plain to Joseph that, you know what, we don't like you. Sometimes people hate you, they don't tell you. But these brothers, Joseph could discern that they don't like me for what I do. But hey, guess what? I'll do what I'll do. All right, so instead of his brothers advising him to be low-key or tone down a little, they concord to kill him. Who are your dream killers? All right, so you have a brother, a younger brother who always comes to brother. I had a dream that all of you guys were bowing and kowtowing to me. What you do is, okay, Joe, you are doing too much. We know you alone, you dream. Maybe as for us, we eat too much fufu or brokoto, so we don't even dream. So we just go to sleep and we just sleep. Maybe you drink Milo, and so you are light. You sleep and you're always seeing all these kinds of dreams, all these revelations. But then, bro, can you tone down a little bit? When you get your dream, just keep it to yourself. They didn't advise him. Or somebody could have said, or the father saying, Joseph, you are a dreamer. But maybe your brothers might not like it. So when you get a dream, just come and talk to me alone. Or keep it down and let's wait to what happens. The brothers wouldn't share any counsel with him. They would not advise him to tone down. They got angrier and angrier each time this boy was dreaming. And he never stopped dreaming. Because from what he said, that was his gift. He was just dreaming. And then you realize later down the lane that this boy's dream what became his trump card. Nobody could kill his vision. If you have a talent, God-given talent, nobody can put you down because it's God-given. If you work on it consistently, nobody can break you. Nobody broke Joseph. I mean, they did all they could, but the guy was still on top. So whether they loved him or not, he was living to fulfill his destiny. All right. Another point. When we go to verse 15, Joseph meets a destiny helper. What do I mean by destiny helper? Somebody who you come to your crossroads, or a mentor, somebody who gives you direction to help you. Joseph was sent to go and find out how the brothers were doing. They had gone to some other place, and Joseph was wandering in the wilderness looking for the brothers. So he asked a certain man. Bible calls him a certain man. They didn't even give us the name of this man. It's a certain man. And when you hear a certain man, it means somebody whose name has not been given. It's somebody who is there, but we don't know that name. Maybe it wasn't necessary, or, Moses didn't know the name of whoever it was. But it says a certain man. Joseph met this man, and he said, hey, bigger bro, I'm looking for my brothers. Do you peradventure know where they've gone to? Or did you eavesdrop them saying they were going somewhere? And the guy said, oh, yes, I heard they were going to Dothan or somewhere. It's a kind gesture that led to a misfortune. So this guy was actually helping Joseph, but he wasn't helping Joseph. But I would say at this point that he was helping Joseph because you came to ask me where your brothers are, and I'm telling you that I overheard them saying they were going to Dothan. So I'm just giving you direction. But that same direction was the one that led to Joseph's capture, to be put in the pit and later sold or all that. So if it's a movie which you've watched several times in the beginning, it was like a misfortune, but which later became a blessing to this guy. So who are your destiny helpers? Who are the people you have met in life that have helped you, that you want to go back and help? Or do you identify destiny helpers in your life? If you see them, can you identify them? Sometimes people come into our life to help us, and we don't identify them, we let them go. Our spouses are destiny helpers. God has given them to us so that we will listen to their counsel. My wife keeps telling me, God is giving me to you to help you. Of course, I appreciate it. Our spouses, our friends in life, our destiny helpers. You have friends all over. These are people that God has placed in your life, not just per accident, but they are people we can follow. When you identify a destiny helper, do all you can to be humble and listen to instructions and be guided. These days we call them mentors. If you are a mentee, listen to a mentor and be blessed. So this guy directs Joseph to say, you know what? I think they went to Dothan. So go there and look for your brothers. Everybody has their Dothan in their moments of life. You could be thrown into life's pits, or you could be sold to your enemy. So what happened in the scenario is that Joseph finally finds where the brothers are grazing their animals. And then he said, oh, thank God I found you. But not knowing they were also hatching something else. This is an opportunity where the brothers, oh yes, here comes the dreamer. Now we're going to see whether you're going to dream again. Instead of welcoming their brother, oh, Brother Joe, yeah, okay, you're welcome. What's up? What's the old man saying at home? What's going on? No, here comes the dreamer. Let's get rid of him. And so there was older brother Reuben, who suggests that we should place this boy inside in a pit, because his plan was that I don't want him to die. I don't want you guys to kill him. Let's place him in a pit. And my idea is that when you place him in a pit, I'll come around and rescue the boy. And the funny thing is that I don't know what happened to Reuben after he said that. So they said, okay, you are a brother. We're not going to kill you. we're going to put you in the pit. So they listened to Reuben's idea, and they actually put this boy in the pit. And then Judah also says, no, I mean, he's our flesh, he's our brother, he's blood of our blood. Let us not put him in a pit. Let's sell him instead. So you have Reuben suggesting that we put this boy in a pit. And so you hear the phrase from pit to what? Prison to prime minister. Those are the pits that Joseph went through. He was put in a pit. Reuben, knowing that he was going to come back and rescue this boy. But I don't know, like I said, I don't know what happened. Maybe he went to the other side to go get something. When he came, the boy wasn't there. And they listened to Judah's advice and they sold him to the Ishmaelites. And how do your own brothers sell you to an enemy for only, what, 20 shekels of silver? And I checked what a shekel is. A shekel in our day would be like $1.99. $1.99. Multiply that by 20, it's like 39 point something. So let me approximate it to $40. So in those days or in our days, Joseph was sold for only $40. That is how those Ishmaelites got Joseph for. Of course, it was a good bargain. If they are selling somebody for $40, they can go to Egypt and sell him for a bigger amount. So they say, hey, we have gotten a good, just like what happened in Africa, slavery. Our people were sold into, I don't even know whether they were even bought. Our ancestors were sold into slavery for peanuts of money. But the unfortunate thing is that our own people were involved in this, deal. Because when you go to the interior where these kings were, I'm sure the kings knew who they were selling those people to. The king was, oh, this take him. They put them in chains. They put them on ships, and across the ocean they came. Some went to England. Some came to US and all that. That's the story of slavery. Joseph was also sold. He was sold into slavery. And then in verse 29, Reuben returns to the pit, and the lad Joseph is not there. Can you imagine his chagrin and the pain? Where is my brother? I devised a method for you to just put in the pit so that when you guys are busy doing something, I'll pass behind and come and rescue my younger brother. But lo and behold, when he turned around, Judah also came with a proposal. Let's not put him in the pit. Let's rather sell him and just get rid of him. Now we're not going to worry about waking up every morning and this guy is banging our ears. I had a dream. You guys are all going to bow down. You're going to kowtow to me. They didn't want to hear that. So just sell him and get rid of him. And what did they do? They kill an animal. But before that, Reuben comes and he tears his clothes. Because in those days, tearing of clothes and wearing sackcloth was equivalent to, I am sad, I am sorrowful, I want to kill myself, I can't take it anymore, all that stuff, They dress in shambles, and that's how they express their pain and fury. And so when Reuben was gallivanting around, the brothers were stock marketing Joseph. They were proposing a price. Hey, Ishmaelites, we have this guy here. I don't think he's too useful to us. I mean, but he looks nice. We want to sell him to you. So they bargained and eventually came to the 20 shekels, and they got rid of younger brother Joseph. But all in all, the good thing is that God was scheming something behind. Because if God told Joseph that I'm going to give you a dream and all your brothers, siblings, father and mother are going to bow down to you, how is that going to come to pass? That is the problem. If God gave a dream to Joseph and said, Joseph, you're going to have this dream. Your parents, even your dad and mom, will bow to you. How do I bring that to pass? The only way that can be possible is that there should be a time where Joseph will be in such a high position that the parents and the sibling will have no choice but to bow down. It's like going before Queen Elizabeth, who just passed. What do? You bow down to her lordship or her ladyship or her queenship. The only way God was going to bring this plan to fruition was that after all the dream, how do I bring it to pass? You guys have to bow down to me. And how was that going to happen? Not when Joseph was still living in the ghettos with the father and the brothers there. No, I have to elevate this guy to go to a place that he will be so honored and so positioned that when you see him, you have no choice but to bow down. That was the plan of God. Sometimes the wisdom of God we don't understand. God brings our life. We go through circumstances in life and we don't understand why you were even born to this particular parents, or why you have to go to this particular school. Why do you have to go through this? Stuff happens and we don't understand. But God is the master craftsman. He knows what he's doing. So he crafted Joseph's life in such a way that Joseph has to go through the lows and the high, the pits the prisons, and the prime minister. That was the only way all these guys will come down and kotor him. I'll come back to my next point. But before I do, let me give you a quick song, and then we'll take over.
Aden urefiana say to me manya eni about Aden wasua mani suwa fosunyade Aden meba Aden kra ya useni da swasa eni da so eni da sonsa kra eni da so oh eni da sonsa yo eni da so ya men subi eni da so eni da so eni da so oh my oh adio get to say eni da so say I didn't cry na mumbefra when you name mo crown say I didn't bedi anaya banom ana muni padua say I didn't cry na mumbefra okransi na duane na ni padua nsin tumana adan mi ba adan cry na ya usani da so asa okransi na duane Nani for dancing to mana Aden me ba Aden cry There you sani da suasa Monche wiye munuma Se wono na wampam Suwa uradi ma wotiti me Tuwa sida jumme radi Nani kumu wankuma impongwa Na uwa waba unsani sasuwa Na uma ubiribini Adaina wasuwa mani suwa fosunyade Adain miba, adain kra Daya usani da suwa sa
Any word sunny, Kawakuma to ye. Onyamiani.
I love this song so much. I can play it all day. And so as I listen to this music that I just played, I'm imagining what Reuben is doing when he came back and found his younger brother not in the pit. God, I am dead. What am I going to tell my father? Where is this young lad? What am I going to say? And eventually, and my next point, the news finally gets to Jacob that his beloved son has been devoured by a wild beast. Jacob tears his clothes, puts sackcloth on, which represents pain and something that he couldn't bear. Of course, you know he's a Kokraba, born in his late years, so he loved this boy and couldn't stand the fact that this boy had been killed by a wild animal. But the drama unfolds, and he keeps weeping and he mourns his son for so many days. How did all the brothers concoct that an animal has killed Joseph? Because, I mean, there are 12 brothers. I mean, let's take the chicks, the ladies from it, whatever it is. They come together and say, you know what? This guy, Dreamer, is just getting on our nerves every day. He just got on our last nerves when he snitched on us to our father that we are, nonentists or whatever. So this is the opportunity. Let's get rid of him. And they finally did. My question is, where was Benjamin? Benjamin, as we know, was the last baby, the last born. He and Joseph shared the same womb. They were all born from Rachel's womb, so they were very, very close. And if you read down the scripture, Joe and Benjamin were very, very, very close. Now, Benjamin must have been very young, so maybe he didn't carry a vote to say, guys, what you are doing is not right. I share womb with this brother. I cannot stand you guys selling him or, telling a fib to our father that animal has killed him. I don't know where Benjamin was, because the scripture doesn't tell us whether Benjamin was at home or, because when you look, when you go back to Genesis chapter 35, verse 16, it tells us that Rachel died whilst he was giving birth to his son, her younger son, Benjamin. So we can assume that Benjamin wasn't old enough, but we are not told whether he was sitting by his daddy at that time or he was with the troop when they all decided that we were going to tell our father a big lie that an animal has killed Joseph. There's a song that I love so much, Abobiachi Joseph by Yao Sapon. When I finish this program, I'm going to listen to it. I can't play it on YouTube. But get a copy of that song, Abobiachi Joseph. You will love that music. Muganda for Namope, a gospel, a local. Yao Sapon song, Abobiachi Joseph. It's very, very interesting. It would have fit this program if I could play it and YouTube wouldn't yell at me. But that's the story. Reuben was torn apart. He didn't know what he was going to tell his father. Maybe as a older brother, he could have concocted something else, but that's what he thought at that time he could, because he carried only one vote. And the rest said, you know what, this dreamer must die. Joseph must die. And they were so strong about it. So the selling of Joseph was a blessing in disguise. As I said earlier on before, that the only way or some of the reasons or how God could bring about this promise, this dreaming thing to come about for Joseph to be eventually become the one that many will bow down to, was to elevate him so high that before you look at him, you have to bow down to see him. And that was how God designed it. That I will give this guy a dream, a gift, a talent that will take him before kings and authorities. And that is how I'm going to make people bow to him in the dream that he saw. And that was the only way. Rachel had died, so he didn't have to bow to Joseph. But I'm sure those days Leah was still alive and all her children, and Jacob, the old man, too. He eventually went to Egypt. He was placed in the land called Goshen. And I'm sure he also bowed down to Joseph, because if you are a citizen, if you are a foreigner, whoever you are, you have to bow down to Joseph. So the dream that Joseph had eventually came to pass. So selling Joseph to the Ishmaelites was a blessing in disguise. And I'm sure Joseph did not understand. As he was following these people to Egypt, he kept asking himself, God, how did I get here? I thought he said I was going to be a dreamer who many others will kowtow and bow down to me. I mean, who is going to bow down to somebody who's been sold into slavery? I mean, how does that even happen? How is it going to happen? But our minds are limited. We are so limited, we don't comprehend what God has in store. So we will never understand the plans of God. Who would have thought that the son of Africa will easily get a green card and end up in the United States and sit behind here talking to you as I'm doing? God has a way of doing things. And so if you have breath, we have to praise him. So Joseph didn't understand. I love the song that I just played. You might be crying, you might be wailing. Sometimes right now, maybe you don't understand the plight that you are in. Whoever is listening to me at this moment of your time, I don't know what you are going through. I may not be a psychic to know, but there is one living God, the everlasting Father, the King of Kings, and the orchestrator of all humanity, the one who put creation into motion. He understands what you are going through. So eventually, he will bring you out if you remain consistent to him. So Joseph did not, we never hear of anywhere that Joseph was grumbling and whining and wailing and doing so. God, I can't take it anymore. I don't understand. You make me dream all these dreams, and instead of being blessed, I rather incurred problems. Why did you didn't give me the dream? Why did you do that, God? No, can you take that gift? But I don't want to dream anymore. I am tired. But we hear Joseph never grumbled. He did not even whine. Maybe he did, but then Moses didn't bother to tell us in the book of Genesis. So it was a blessing when he was sold to the Midianites, and he ended up in Potiphar's house. And of course, Potiphar is an officer. He was an officer of Pharaoh and a captain of his guard. Verse 36 will explain that very well. But the good thing that I want to tell you tonight is that the Bible says that wherever Joseph went, the Lord was with him. So even in the pits, God was there orchestrating stuff, telling them, and he will put it in Judas' mind. Hey, tell the people, don't keep him in the pit. Just go and sell him. Because there's nothing going to come out. You might take him out and take him back, but the promises of God wouldn't have been fulfilled. There was no way Joseph was going to be prominent in Jacob's house. No, it wasn't going to happen. Maybe God would have had a different plan. But where God was taking Joseph to was so big, so huge that he didn't want the boy to stay in that ghetto of Canaan, wherever he was. But God had to circumvent his plan. You know, he had told Abraham that in many years to come, over 400 years, I'll bring you back to your promised land. And the question is, why didn't God just thrust them into the promised land just right there? He made them go through a whole journey. They went around Egypt, stayed there for, until Joseph died. And a new king came who didn't know Joseph, and he began to maltreat them. They went into slavery 430 years before Moses came to liberate them, and they came back. I mean, can you see God's sense of humor? I read and I get marveled, but God has a plan. So this is how God orchestrated the whole thing. He gave Joseph a dream. The dream provoked his brothers, and they said, we can't take it anymore, boy. You are a nuisance to us. You cry too much. You kasa too much. You are loud mouth. They make so much noise. You are bothersome to us. But God was taking that bothering to be a blessing to the family. Eventually, Joseph became a blessing to the family. When hunger struck in those neighboring countries, guess who they went to? They went back to Joseph to be fed. God has a sense of, God, you are wonderful. You are something else. That is my exhortation tonight. I'm looking at the law of consistency. Next week, I'll take it back. But today, I had to make just a detour to throw the spotlight on Joseph about how this guy was so consistent. Even in his dreams, he was consistent. Telling of the story to his brothers and father and mother, he was consistent. Even when he was being sold, this guy did not whine. We don't even see him crying. But of course, human as he was, Joseph complained that, brothers, why are you doing this to me? Come on now, take me out of this pit. But nobody listened. Reuben had a very good mind that, no, put him in the pit and I'll come back and rescue him. But alas, they had a different plan. And Judah said, you know what, don't keep him in this pit. Let's sell him. Let's get rid of him. We are tired of listening to him whine every day and dream. What should I say? Nekusi saying. But God had a master plan. The only way I can get Joseph's dream to come to pass is what? I have to take him on this trip. The 3 P's, the pit, the prison, and prime minister. And Bible says, wherever Joseph went, the Lord was with him. And Bible says of Jesus, wherever he went, he was doing good. So wherever Joseph went, he was doing good. The Lord was with him. And as we come to find out later on, he went to Potiphar's wife and he began to shine. The spotlight was on him. He was doing very well, very, very well, until somebody decided to give Joseph a scholarship, which in modern days, many of us would have failed. This guy earned a great scholarship, but he turned it down And that also led him into another dilemma. But even there, again, Bible says the Lord was with him. Even in the prison, the Lord was with him. So if you are listening to me, perchance, I don't know how you're going to get to this clip, but if you ever lay your hand on this and you are in prison, remember that if you are convicted, not righteously, maybe you didn't do the crime and they put you there, whatever it is, if you found yourself there in something you didn't do, God has a way of liberating you. Your incarceration can lead to something positive. Be consistent in where you are. Take all that downtime you have in prison. Write a book. Write a memoir. Write a song. Do something. Do your time well. Use it very well. And when you come out, something good is going to come out. And I believe when Joseph went to the prison, he used his time well. He was still a dreamer, even in the prison. Because that same dream that got Joseph into prison, it was that same dream that got him out. What is your gift tonight? What is your talent? What is it that is going to bring you before kings and authorities? I'm asking you tonight. Whatever God has given you, use it to the best of your ability. Don't say, oh, I need $1 million before I can shine. Whether you are selling ice water, you are selling kakuru, basin, whatever it is. Use your gift, use your talent. God has given us wisdom. Use what God has given you to do something positive. Tonight, I came to encourage you. And as I do that, it is pouring back on me. I'm also getting blessed. I'm also motivating myself. There are things I also need to do that my wife has told me to do that I'll say, okay, I'll do. But as I speak this on air, I also motivate myself that whatever God has given me as a talent, I will use it. I don't remember the last time I wrote a poem, but if I could go back and do a collection of poetry, that will help me. Sometimes people ask me, Charles, are you still writing your poetry? So I put it somewhere. Whatever gift God has given you, that is what is going to bring you before kings and authorities. Somebody has a gift. He went to school, realized that, you know what, I can't sit in the classroom all this long. Let me use it to do Microsoft. And he became what we know as Bill Gates, rich man. Use your gift. Tonight, I came to pay tribute to Sister Abner from Poma on her birthday. God bless you. God bless your husband, Dr. Osetutu. And on behalf of all of Era One, I want to say a good evening. Enjoy your evening. Be consistent at what you are doing. I'm not saying be consistent at being a bad person. If you're a thief, I'm not asking you to be consistent at stealing. But whatever good that needs to be done. And the Bible says in Philippians, whatever is true, whatever is noble, if there be any virtue, think on this. Do the right things. Be consistent in the good things you are doing. If you're a father, be consistent in being a father. If you're a mother, do the same thing. On your job, don't say God is not watching, so I'm going to cut corners. Whatever brought you into the job might not be what will keep you there. So be consistent and make sure you are maintaining your integrity. God bless you. I'll see you again. As I said, a song that I love so much, I'm going to play it again before I leave air. Have a good evening and stay blessed. On behalf of Era One, go back and watch our clip. Thank you for watching. Go back to YouTube and Facebook, Modern Ghana, and listen again. I will see you again. Have a blessed evening. Good night.
Aden urefiana se otumi manya eni about Aden wasu mani su afosunyade Aden meba Aden kra ya useni da swasa eni da sonsa kra eni da sonsa yo eni da sonsa ya mensubi eni da sonsa eni da suwa eni da sonsa oh adio get to see eni da sonsa didn't cry na mubefra. When you name more crowns, a day in a bedi, Anaya Banum, Anna Monica Dianse, a didn't cry na mubefra. O Cransina Diane, Nanny Pabian sing to mana. I dang me back, I dang cry. There's a need a suicide. O Cransina Diane, Nanny Pabian sing to mana. I dang me back, I dang cry. There's a need a suicide. To a ready, my what did me? To a citadel, me ready. Eh, woo ready. Nanikum and Kuma in Pomoa. Now our bones and is a sewer. Now my would be near. I dine, I was so was so money sewer for some day. I dang me back, I dang cry. There was a need a suicide.
Say oje wo for money and you not in the name for how new the jina for to so no beyama if you say oje wo for money and you not in the so people when in the so judging no beyama if you say oje wo for money and you not for money and you so
The fortune dancium, sepe besia manaeja, any word that's sunny, Kawakuma to ye. Onyamiani kumo, so Remo maswa, any word that's sunny, Nanikunda. The fortune dancium, sepe besia manaeja. I'm a pre-want your dear Kwawa. Obeya Mauda, Osujami many rewa. Nana mini was it tremu. A brebe swama I worry for. Kawakuma 2 Obonia men subiem. A brebe swama when yabao. Men subiem. Yamiani kuo. Mi beya Mauda. Me pa men subiamo, Pristoni, Kawakuma 2